The notification came at 4:52 inches the morning. I know the exact time because I had been half awake for an hour already, listening to the rain hit the skylight above my bed, the way it does every November in Portland. My phone lit up on the nightstand and I reached for it the way you reach for things in the dark without thinking, without any idea that what you're about to read is going to split your life into a before and an after. It was from my bank. One line. Your account access has been restricted pending review of recent authorization activity. I read it twice. Then I opened the app. A red banner filled the screen. Access denied. Below it, in smaller gray letters, please visit your nearest branch for assistance. I sat up. My dog, a 7-year-old beagle named Biscuit, lifted his head from the foot of the bed and looked at me. I remember thinking, stupidly, that I must have forgotten to pay a bill. That is how completely unprepared I was for what came next. Let me tell you about the account before I tell you what happened to it. My grandmother, Loretta Mae Whitfield, was a woman who had grown up with nothing and spent 60 years making sure nobody in her bloodline would ever have to say the same. She was a retired schoolteacher from Knoxville, Tennessee, who had saved methodically for 4 decades, invested quietly, and never once mentioned money at the dinner table, because she said talking about it was the fastest way to let other people feel entitled to it. When she died, she left behind a will that her attorney had prepared with unusual specificity. She left her house to my mother. She left her car to my uncle. And she left me her youngest grandchild, the one she called her serious girl, a trust fund of $380,000. I was 24 when she died. I am 39 now. In 15 years, I had touched that money exactly once. To pay the closing costs on my condo in southeast Portland. The one with the skylight above my bed and a small porch where I grow tomatoes in the summer. The rest had sat untouched, growing quietly, exactly the way my grandmother would have wanted. My name is Marlo. Marlo Jean Whitfield. And until that November morning, I had believed, truly believed, somewhere embarrassingly deep, that my family was, on balance, good. I made the wrong call first. I called my brother, Darren. He's 43. He lives 40 minutes south of me, in a house he has been renovating for 8 years, with a wife who works in pharmaceutical sales, and 2 teenage boys who seem fine. All things considered. Darren and I are not close in the way some siblings are close, but we are not estranged. We show up for Thanksgiving. We text on birthdays. I had no reason, standing in my kitchen at 5 in the morning in my robe, to think he was anything other than my brother. He picked up on the first ring. That was the first wrong thing. Darren does not pick up on the first ring. Darren does not pick up at all before 8 o'clock on a weekday. I have left voicemails for that man on actual emergencies. Marlo. Just my name. Flat. Not what's wrong. Not is everything okay. Just my name. Like he was checking a box. I said. My bank account is frozen. The trust account. Darren, do you know anything about this? There was a pause. The kind of pause that isn't confusion. It's calculation. He said, I was going to call you today. There's been some concern in the family about how you've been doing, with everything going on at work, and the thing with Curtis. Curtis was a man I had stopped seeing 8 months ago. I had mentioned it to Darren in passing. Once. In June. We thought it made sense to have someone step in and help manage things while you get stable. I said. What did you do? He said. We got a power of attorney filed. There's supporting documentation. Marlo. This is a legal process. We're not doing anything wrong. We're trying to help you. I want to describe what I felt when he said we're trying to help you. It wasn't rage. Not yet. It was something colder and older than rage. It was the feeling of a woman who has spent 39 years being told that she doesn't quite understand her own life. Standing in her own kitchen in the dark. Finally understanding everything all at once. I said, do not touch that account. And then I hung up. I showered. I dried my hair. I put on the charcoal blazer I wear when I have difficult conversations at my job. I'm a hospital pharmacist, and difficult conversations come with the territory. I fed Biscuit. I made 1 cup of coffee and drank half of it standing at the kitchen counter. Then I drove to the bank. In the car, I ran the timeline the way I run medication interactions at work. Methodically. My breakup with Curtis, 8 months ago, minor. My promotion at the hospital 6 months ago, something Darren had made a joke about that I had filed away and then unfiled. My grandmother's trust, which Darren had asked me about twice in the last 2 years in ways I had chosen to interpret as casual interest. My sister-in-law's job change, which I had heard about through my mother. She had moved to a lower-paying position, something about a restructuring. And then I thought about the thing I had not let myself think about for 2 years. Darren had asked me to co-sign on a business loan in January. $60,000. For a contractor supply company he wanted to open with a friend. I had said no. carefully and kindly, and in a handwritten note, because I knew a phone call would turn into an argument. I had said no, and Darren had said he understood, and we had not spoken about it again. I pulled into the bank parking lot at 8:51. I sat in my car and I took 3 breaths and I decided what I was not going to do. I was not going to cry. I was not going to qualify my sentences with, "I might be wrong," but I was not going to give anyone the impression that I was anything other than completely certain about what I knew. The branch manager's name was Patricia Okafor. She had close-cropped natural hair and reading glasses on a beaded chain, and the focused calm of a woman who had seen things. She took me into her office, closed the door, and turned her monitor so I could see the screen. There was a power of attorney document dated 6 days earlier. My signature at the bottom. I stared at that signature for a long moment. It was close. But my lowercase e in cursive has a specific loop that I developed in the 7th grade because my language arts teacher said it was elegant. The e in that signature was closed on the wrong side. Whoever had copied it had worked from something, a check, maybe, or a card, and had gotten almost everything right. Almost. "I did not sign this," I said. Patricia said, "I want to show you the rest." There was a letter from a physician. It stated that I had been evaluated and found to be experiencing significant emotional dysregulation that impaired my ability to make sound financial decisions, and it recommended that a family member be granted temporary authority over my accounts. It was signed by a doctor, Raymond Stills, psychiatrist, based in Eugene. I have never seen a psychiatrist. I have never been to Eugene. I have never heard of Raymond Stills. Patricia said the bank had called the number on the letterhead that morning. It rang 4 times and went to a voicemail with a generic greeting. No name. Then she showed me the fax origin. The letter had been sent from a mailbox's, etc., location in a suburb of Salem, Oregon. Then she showed me the document metadata. The PDF had been created on a device registered to a home address. The owner name embedded in the file was my sister-in-law, Vanessa. I looked at that name for a long moment. I said, "Patricia, I need to file a fraud report, and I need you to call the non-emergency police line." She said, "I want to make sure you understand what that initiates. This becomes a criminal matter." I said, "My grandmother set up this trust because she understood something about my family that it took me 15 years to accept. I understand it now. Please make the call." The detective who came was named Torres, mid-40s, efficient, the kind of person who takes notes with a real pen. She listened to everything without interrupting. She looked at the documents. She confirmed the metadata. She asked Patricia whether the bank would release copies with my signed authorization. Then she asked me a question I will never forget. "Do you think your brother will come here today?" I thought about it. I thought about Darren picking up on the first ring, about the way he had said my name, about the 8 years of slow preparation I had confused for ordinary family life. I said, "If he thinks the filing didn't go through, yes, he'll come. And when he comes, he will have a version of this that makes me sound like the problem. He will be calm. He will have documentation. He will use words like concern and stability and we're a family. I'm telling you this now so that when he does it, you already know." Detective Torres looked at me steadily. Then she said, "Thank you. I'll stay in the building." Darren arrived at 11:15. He was wearing a collared shirt. He had printed documents in a manila folder. He walked to the teller window with the measured pace of a man who believes he is in the right, and I watched through the glass as he explained to the young man at the counter that he had power of attorney over his sister's account and needed to speak with a manager about a discrepancy. The teller excused himself. Detective Torres walked out of the back office. I watched my brother's face do the thing my brother's face had been doing my entire life. That half-second recalibration. The quick blink. The pivot to a softer expression. Concern. Confusion. Reasonableness. Detective Torres asked for his identification. She asked him to come to the back. He passed the glass office where I was sitting. He looked at me. And for 1 second, just one, the reasonableness dropped. What was underneath it was not anger. It was something smaller than anger. It was embarrassment. The look of a man who has been caught not committing a crime, but being exactly who he is. I held his eyes. I did not blink. He looked away first. By 3 o'clock that afternoon, Darren and Vanessa had both been taken in for questioning. By the following morning, charges had been filed. Forgery of a legal document, conspiracy to commit financial fraud, aggravated identity theft, and fraudulent use of a fabricated medical record, which is, in the state of Oregon, a Class B felony on its own. Dr. Raymond Stills did not exist. Vanessa had built the name and the letterhead herself, using a template she had purchased online for $22. The freelancer she had hired to format the letter turned over his records within 48 hours and cooperated fully. The trial lasted 9 months. Darren received 5 years. Vanessa received 4. The judge used the phrase calculated betrayal of familial trust in the sentencing, and she ordered full restitution plus my attorney fees. I was in the courtroom for the verdict. I wore a navy dress and my grandmother's pearl earrings. When the sentence was read, Darren turned and looked at me, and I looked back, and I did not perform anything for him. Not anger. Not grief. Not forgiveness. Just presence. Just my own face. With nothing hidden on it. The trust is intact. I moved it to a different institution, with additional verification requirements. Biometric confirmation. A secondary contact. And a verbal passphrase drawn from something my grandmother said to me the last Christmas before she died. Something no one else in my family ever heard. My best friend, Josephine, who has known me since our first year of pharmacy school, is the only emergency contact on the account. She is not family by blood. She has been family by choice for 14 years, and there is a difference. Here is what I want to say to anyone who has been sitting with something like this, some quiet wrongness in their family that they've been explaining away, reinterpreting, giving the benefit of every doubt. Your grandmother may have known before you did. Your gut may have known before you did. The small things, the borrowed money never repaid, the jokes with edges, the questions that were never really questions, those things are not separate from the big things. They are rehearsal for the big things. You are allowed to be a kind person and still call the police. You are allowed to love someone and still let a judge decide what that cost them. Decency is not the same as silence. Your name is yours. Your signature is yours. Your inheritance is yours not because you earned it over someone else, but because someone who loved you looked ahead and made it so. My grandmother Loretta has been gone for 15 years. But I talk to her sometimes on the back porch when Biscuit is sleeping in the afternoon sun and the tomatoes are coming in and Portland is doing that thing it does in late summer where the whole sky goes gold. I tell her the trust is safe. I tell her I finally understood what she was trying to tell me. When she left it specifically, carefully, and only to me. I tell her my signature still has that little E, the one with the loop on the right side, and nobody has ever been able to copy it quite right.